Hi everyone, Stone Crypto here, bringing back to you some more rock solid cryptocurrency content. Today's topic, I'll be going over some of my crypto fails I've experienced in 2017 and the coins I'm most excited for this upcoming year. I'll start off by going over some of the coins I'm excited for in 2018 and also the reasons why I'm excited for them. And then I'll go into some of the crypto fails I've experienced in 2017 or have experienced within my social circle, and the lessons that I've learned that you guys can potentially take away from those as well. So to start off, Veritasium. Veritasium is a peer-to-peer financial digital asset exchange. If you're unfamiliar with Veritasium, it was founded by Reggie Middleton, who is pretty well known in the financial market space, as he's been publishing the Boom Bust blog for many years. He's called The Collapse of Bear Stearns, and he's trying to mesh the traditional stock markets with blockchain technology, creating a universal stock market for people to buy these financial assets directly from their issuers like governments or banks without these middlemen and brokers that take large fees and end up driving up the cost of these financial assets. And Veritasium has launched its beta already. It's a public open beta, and Reggie is displaying this beta online, allowing people to join in and directly and test out the platform. He's showcasing the beta at different types of conferences as well. And what's interesting about Veritasium outside of the beta is Reggie has been on the road doing roadshows for all these banks and hedge funds for over 6 months now. And if you're unfamiliar with what a roadshow is, it's basically like sales pitches that are laid out over time for you and structured. And he's been doing this for 6+ months. And for sales cycles in the software space, they tend to take a little bit longer. You can see anywhere from 6 months to maybe even 2 years. So the fact that Reggie has been on the road for close to 9+ months now, pitching to these hedge funds, banks. He's even already signed a partnership with the Jamaican Stock Exchange and has potentially 5 additional governments and countries that he's working with as well. So I would expect 2018 to be a massive year for Veritasium. And when everything in this pipeline and things start to close, it's going to be kind of a cascading effect as more and more people that get onto a platform, it creates more confidence. And if you're unfamiliar with the token supply and how it's distributed for Veritasium, there's 100 million tokens, and roughly about 2 million of them have been sold and distributed to the public since the ICO. So that means there's about 97 to 98 million tokens that are just waiting to be sold to these institutions. And at current valuations of $300 to $400 a token, and you have these institutions that are going to be probably buying up in millions, if not hundreds of thousands of these tokens in every single sale, I see an explosive year for Veritasium. Next, we have Populus. Populus is an invoice factoring platform started by Nico Williams, and what it does is it allows small, medium businesses and other larger businesses as well, basically businesses of any kind that have invoices, 30, 60, 90, 6-month invoices that they're willing to sell and take a small loss on for immediate cash. Previously, this market would be, the fees would eat up a lot of the returns for these businesses that are looking to get only a 10% or 15% or 5% haircut, but these banks are taking significantly more because there's a lot more middlemen involved in the process. This is a direct peer-to-peer, business to consumer buying the loan, and it uses the Populus platform to facilitate that transaction. So if a business is selling off a 3-month invoice that is worth $100,000, and he's willing to take $90,000 for it right now instead of 3 months later, you can use your Populus tokens to buy that actual invoice, and at the end of the 90-day period, you'll get that difference, the $10,000 spread, and get your tokens back. So the fact that you get to keep your tokens and get additional income for that difference, it creates this passive residual revenue stream using the Populus token, is kind of why there's a lot of buzz and interest around Populus. So they've publicly announced that the public beta is going to be coming very soon. The live platform is also supposed to be launched this year in 2018 as well, sometime in Q2, maybe even Q3. And Populus has recently brought on a new advisor, Jack Lee. Jack Lee has been in the East Asian realm, mostly in Hong Kong, for 20 plus years. He's fluent in Cantonese, which is the main dialect and language in Hong Kong. And he's also fluent in Mandarin as well, which is the main language and dialect in mainland China. So I believe that Jack Lee will be kind of instrumental in growing the Populus marketing in East Asia. So Populus will have a very exciting year in 2018 as well. EOS, if you're unfamiliar with EOS, is a third generation blockchain. So Bitcoin is a first generation blockchain. Ethereum is a second generation blockchain that's innovative blockchain to allow smart contracts. And EOS is a third generation blockchain, which is, in a nutshell, like a souped up version of Ethereum. They're running the infamous 1 year long ICO, which is going to be closing in June, where they're trying to raise, I believe it's a billion Ethereum. And once this ICO closes, they're immediately going into the attack bounties, where they're allowing their open source code to be pretty much investigated and attacked by developers to try to find flaws in EOS before it goes live. After the attack bounties, there's the sample dApps, where the EOS developers will build these sample type of dApps or companies to show the public, to show other developers and businesses that, look, this is what Ethereum is meant to do. It's meant to do everything that Ethereum can do, but better. We'll show you. And that's what those sample dApps are meant to do. And we have pretty much everything being wrapped up in 2018, that 2019 is going to be what Neo is now, exploding and having all these dApps developing on it. So I expect the buzz for EOS to be picking up significantly as they pretty much near completion in 2018. Lastly, we have Neo, the so-called Ethereum of China and the East. And even with all the China FUD regarding exchange bans, and more recently the subsidizing of miners with electricity to be potentially taken away, it hasn't been able to stop Neo. Neo has grown from pennies to, at one point, $180 something. I think it's around 140 to 150 right now. And even within the last month and a half, Ethereum has grown over 5 times. And that's mainly because of all these dApps that are starting to being able to build on the Neo platform. I believe 6 months ago, there's probably like 2 to 3 different companies that were on the Neo platform. And now, if you just check their website today, all the different dApps, there's about 25 plus dApps that are being built on, or that are almost done on the Ethereum, on the Neo platform. And there's going to be many more to come. So you can expect kind of an explosion in Neo, and then in 2019 you can see that similar type of explosion that's continuing right now on EOS. And now my crypto fails. So these are some of the experiences that I have witnessed personally or indirectly witnessed through people that are within my social circle. And I'll start it off kind of lightly by going over some of the small mishaps, and then I'll go over the biggest ones as I get down towards the bottom. And the first mistake that I experienced was pasting my private key into a chat box. And even though the chat box was a private chat box between me and my friend, when you're getting into ICOs or getting into checking up on your wallets, you're pasting your private keys all over the place, and you have multiple different wallets. Sometimes you paste the wrong one. It happens sometimes. And one time I ended up pasting my private key into a chat box and I sent it. And if you're unfamiliar with how servers work in chat boxes, everything is stored on a server somewhere. if you send it. So especially chats and pictures. So when you send it over a chat box, I sent my private key to a chat box, it was probably stored in the server of that company whose chat program I was utilizing. So I immediately had to create a new wallet, send all my coins off the original wallet into the new wallet. So if you're taking pictures of your private keys or your backup phrases, or storing or typing your private keys into chats, don't do that. Everything is stored on a server. If it's on your phone, it's in a server. If it's on your computer, it's probably in a server somewhere. So try to make sure you're keeping all your private keys offline, either on a paper or in a USB drive, or if you have a hardware wallet like a ledger, it's best to use that. Next, we have the CoinDash scam. So about 6 to 7 months ago, there's an acquaintance of mine that was very interested in crypto, wanted to learn about ICOs and altcoins, and I walked him through the basics, and he was moving very, very fast, probably too fast for his own good, since when you're moving really fast, you're probably not building a solid foundation. Like, things might make sense to you on a larger picture scale, but on a minute detail, it probably does not make sense. And this particular individual, within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, wanted to get into ICOs and didn't understand the research you have to put into getting into these ICOs. And I think he sent me a couple of the recommendations that he was looking into, he wanted me to consider as well. And I did not really like them, mainly for the team purpose. This individual was really set on getting into these ICOs and just kept asking me to review it. He's going to get into it. He's going to get into it. What do I think? Am I going to get into it? And I told him every single time no. Eventually, he got into the ICO, and that company was hacked. And apparently behind that company was a CEO that worked for another company that got hacked. We don't know if it was a hack or not, but they pretty much hacked the website a day or two before the actual ICO happened. They changed the contract address of the ICO. So on the day of the ICO, where it's getting the most traffic, where the most money is coming in, everybody's flooding their money into this hacker's Ethereum contract address, and all of their Ethereum is just going to this hacker's wallet. And that resulted in, I think, a few hours of confusion for CoinDash when they realized Ethereum was not coming in. Whether it was an inside job or not, nobody really knows. But the CEO was a part of another hack in the past, which kind of raises a lot of red flags. And if you would have just done a quick search on Google, just type in CoinDash scam, before the ICO was even launched, you would have found a couple of threads out there calling out the team members. So you want to make sure you're doing your due diligence before you get into anything. Never FOMO rush into something because you feel like there's plenty of opportunity and you're going to miss out on it. You're going to miss out on a lot more things if you go into something and not know fully what it is or how to securely do it in the crypto space. Sending Bitcoin Cash to a Bitcoin wallet. This happened to a family member of mine, so a little bit more heartfelt. I was kind of going over with this individual how to send different coins or your coins to your wallets. I believe I emphasized that you have to make sure you send Bitcoin to a Bitcoin wallet, Litecoin to a Litecoin wallet, Ethereum to an Ethereum wallet. If you send Litecoin to Ethereum wallet, if it goes through, it will be gone forever, because these digital cryptocurrencies are just code. And if you're sending one code to a wallet that doesn't have the compatible coding to accept that crypto, then it's pretty much lost forever. And this family member of mine sent Bitcoin Cash to a Bitcoin wallet. Luckily, it wasn't a huge fiasco, as I always advocate to everybody to do small test sends, and especially on new wallets that you're trying out for the first time. Make sure that your crypto gets over there and in the test send, and once it's over there in the test send successful, then send the rest over. It's also another reason why I'm not a big fan of Bitcoin Cash, Roger Ver, and the whole debacle of trying to confuse people with Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin. Roger Ver is also an investor in blockchain.info, which is probably one of the largest, hosts the largest amount of Bitcoin wallets in the world, or one of the largest at least. And there was also some confusion with blockchain.info changing all the Bitcoin wallets to Bitcoin Cash wallets because they believe Bitcoin Cash is the real Bitcoin. And now you have all these people on blockchain.info that are sending their Bitcoin to these Bitcoin wallets when in fact they're sending their Bitcoin to a Bitcoin Cash wallet and they're not able to access their Bitcoin anymore. So you want to make sure that you are sending the right coins to the right wallets because they're just code, and different code will make certain wallets incompatible and you will not be able to extract those coins. Hype coins. So recently there's been a lot of hype around certain coins like Ripple, Tron, Verge, and Cardano. There's been a lot of media coverage on these coins as well, on TV and even on Twitter. CNBC is pumping things like Ripple, and John McAfee was paid to pump a coin like Verge. And people don't understand and do their due diligence into these coins and just buy it because there's a lot of news and hype around it. You don't understand that generally you don't want to do what the crowd is doing because the crowd is usually always probably not right because there's a lot of hype being built around something like Ripple, that their network, the Ripple network and the Ripple coin are two different things. They are not linked to each other, and one doesn't need the other to survive. So basically Ripple, the token, is not a coin that has any utility value. The coin itself has an infinite supply, like your US dollars. They can just be printed into oblivion by the company that controls Ripple, which means if there's a company that controls a coin, it's centralized. And the whole point of cryptocurrency is to decentralize things and take power away from these large, centralized, rich conglomerates that control everything and kind of disperse that evenly among everyone. Tron is another really, really hyped coin that has only been out for a few months and has made it into the top 5 of the coin market cap. It's a coin that doesn't have a roadmap that's really relevant until 2025. Like, why are you buying a coin that's not going to have any type of significant milestones being accomplished for 7 years? Why is it even in the top 5? It probably shouldn't be. That's why it's crashed over 50% in value recently. Same thing with Ripple, crashed 70% in value. Verge. Tron also plagiarized their white paper as well, which a lot of people didn't know. If you were to do your research into this stuff, you would find out a lot more information. Remember, you always need to take the devil's advocate side of anything that you're looking to invest your money into. It helps you get a better perspective of things. Next, you have Verge. Verge, in a nutshell, they paid John McAfee to pump their coin. So let's move on to Cardano. Cardano is another third generation blockchain, similar to EOS. It's also only been out for a few months. The team is very, very credible and knowledgeable. Charles Hoskinson, I believe, worked on Ethereum, also worked with Dan Larimer, and part of the Dan Larimer is heading up EOS. And Cardano has pumped to, at one point, top 5 market cap as well. It's only been out for a few months, and the platform isn't going to finish before EOS. So people are going to be building their dApps on EOS before they're going to be really building on Cardano. And why is Cardano all the way in the top 5 when the roadmap still has maybe a year or 2 years before anything significant will start to pick up steam for Cardano? And you have EOS like in the top 15. It really doesn't make sense. A lot of these coins are just pumping because people hear from John McAfee or CNBC, or they hear from a friend that hasn't done due diligence either, and they spread that within their social circle, and then they all decide to get into this coin without really doing their own research. I've seen it myself. I run a chat group of 20 plus people that focuses strictly on blockchain and crypto, and you just see people getting into coins that they don't really understand. And sure, you can make money on things, but someone's going to be left holding the bag. And on that topic, another family member of mine that asked me about Ripple was pretty much stuck holding a bag of Ripple now, ended up buying Ripple at the top because of all this news and buzz and all the information he was hearing from her friends. And he didn't buy a large amount, but one of his friends ended up buying 150,000 Ripple at the top, and it's down over 70% now. I remember when that individual texted me about Ripple, I told them everything I just said. It's the bankster coin. It has an infinite supply. It's a centralized coin that really defeats the purpose of Bitcoin, blockchain, and cryptocurrency. It's probably not something that I would get into, but you can make money off it if you want. And that family member of mine took that as, yes, go buy Ripple. And now he's sitting on a bag of Ripple. So just make sure you do your own due diligence into these coins. You want to make sure you play the devil's advocate, because this is money that you're investing, and so it could potentially be life-changing money. And you never want to, put in anything you cannot risk or afford to lose. 150,000 is a lot. Hopefully that individual can afford to at least hold on to that bag of Ripple or take the L on that. AetherDelta hack. AetherDelta was hacked last month, and what's scary is a lot of people use AetherDelta. I use AetherDelta. A lot of my friends use AetherDelta, and it's pretty much the only place you can get a lot of these new ICO ERC20 coins, because it allows you to list your own coin. Bittrex, Binance, HitBTC, Poloniex, you all have to work directly with those teams in order to get your coin listed, make sure the wallet accepts the coin and everything. And then you have to pay them money to list the coin. So there's a lot of complications for listing a coin, and that's why AetherDelta is really great to scoop up these new coins that have recently ICO'd. And a lot of people don't know how to use AetherDelta, which makes the liquidity on AetherDelta very low. And AetherDelta is also a decentralized exchange, meaning that there is no central entity that really controls the movement of the coins. Like, they can work on the development of AetherDelta to make it look better, but they don't have access to any of your wallets or your funds. And people generally think that that's safer. And what's scary is AetherDelta got hacked. And not only that, these hackers were able to create a phishing site that redirected you when you entered in all your private key information. And I had a friend that had some of his Ethereum stolen. And the hack has been pretty much patched and fixed, but it makes you a little bit worried about how secure you need to be and how on top of the game you need to be in the crypto space. And lastly, we have BitConnect. Pretty sure everyone has heard about BitConnect, either just whether you're on Steemit and you've seen BitConnect scam, you're on YouTube, every single YouTuber you're watching has talked about BitConnect or is talking about BitConnect. If you just do a search on Google for BitConnect, you'll see scam. And I'm talking about BitConnect here because I got into BitConnect around May of last year. I knew it was a bit shady. They have this lending bot. Pretty much how BitConnect works is it allows you to lend your Bitcoin to BitConnect, and in turn they use that Bitcoin and trade it with their trading bot. And their trading bot is so profitable that they're able to basically give you 1% on average daily returns. And in a space where it's very volatile, it drops a lot, it goes up a lot, you're not sure if your crypto will have any value in a month or even a week or a few days. BitConnect kind of provided the insurance of paying out 1% daily of your initial investment into that platform. But the red flags were the trading bot was never seen. They showed no evidence of the trading bot. The marketing, the marketing aspects of BitConnect were structured like a pyramid scheme, where if you invited somebody, you got 7% off of their first loan. If that person invited somebody, you got 3% off that loan, and then 2%, and then 1%. So it incentivized you to invite others to do it. And the funny thing about BitConnect was it was alive a lot longer than other scams. And I put a little bit of money into it, nothing I could not afford to lose. So make sure that if you're going to take a risk on anything, make sure you can afford to lose it. And I put a little bit into that platform, because of the consistent 1% payouts that I thought might be useful and kind of lucrative over time if you didn't expect the crypto space to be ballooning like it is now. But the pyramid scheme level and everything adding up created a lot of major red flags. And even though there were a lot of major red flags, BitConnect kept paying out. Normal scams go bust in like 2 to 3 months, and BitConnect's been around for over a year. They even created a Bitcoin Cash wallet during the Bitcoin Cash War. So they were doing a lot of things right, even though everything else was screaming red flags. So anyone that was in the platform had a lot of confidence in the platform. But ultimately, just like all scams and Ponzi schemes, if you looked into the details of BitConnect, there wasn't anything really justifying how they could sustain themselves, and they ended up, scamming away everyone's money. And this week, they pretty much released everyone's funds that they invested originally into the platform, but they released them in the BitConnect tokens. And on top of that, they didn't allow you to exchange those BitConnect tokens for Bitcoin on their platform, so you had to exchange all those tokens through a third-party exchange. By the time you got those coins out of the third-party exchange, BitConnect was pretty much worthless. So if you want to see how fast a coin can crash once it loses confidence and the market no longer has confidence in that coin or whatever asset, go look at BitConnect. It pretty much dropped from a top 20 market cap coin to somewhere in the 200s within minutes. So all in all, you want to make sure that you're doing your research on everything that you're getting into. You're being very secure with all your private key information, and don't invest any money that you can't afford to lose. So if you liked this particular episode from Stone Crypto, feel free to like, subscribe, and follow us for updates, and hit that bell to be notified for when the next video is released.